Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery gush for Vicious by V.E. Schwab. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it, so if you haven't read this book, go ahead and check out my spoiler-free review, which is linked on the screen. So I mentioned this in my wrap-up, I believe, but V.E. Schwab books are very difficult for me because I feel like as her career progresses, I like her books less and less. I don't know what it is, if she's writing too many at once, or something's happening where I'm not really enjoying them, but I tend to, across the board, like her earlier work. I loved The Archived, I loved this, so I tend to do really well with early V.E. Schwab books. But anyway, that's a side note. First things first, as far as the world building, I mentioned this in my review, but I just like that EOs are an established thing. They have a part of the police force that's devoted to them, so they're a thing that people are still unsure of, but in the same vein as mutants and X-Men and Avengers and stuff like that, people kind of know they're a thing. So it feels more grounded in reality in that way. As far as characters, I loved Victor Vale from the start, and I wasn't sure, because a lot of times when characters are really hyped up, you never know, but instantly I'm like, okay, you're gonna be fantastic. I really enjoy the whole discussion between him and Eli of what makes a villain, what makes a hero, and is there a hero even in this story? Victor calls himself a villain because he's going after this person who has proclaimed himself a hero, but Victor isn't really, I mean, he is a villain, he does bad things, but he's very compelling. I mean, he's a sociopath. He's a sociopath before he even gets turned into an EO, but where he's saying stuff that he has to mimic people's emotions because he doesn't quite get it, which I found really interesting. It's an interesting kind of character to read about, but he still does bad things almost for good reasons. I mean, not even necessarily good reasons because they're selfishly motivated. He's just an interesting, complex character. I had a really good time reading about him. I also enjoyed all the other characters, Mitch, so connected to. He kept almost dying, and I'm like, can you please stop? I am so worried for you because he's a precious puppy. I also really enjoyed Sydney, and I don't always enjoy kid characters in adult books, but she was really great, and I liked how everyone's ability is tied in with something about their personality, Victor and the whole pain thing, and her, Sydney, and come back, and all of that was really interesting, and I liked how the book explored what would be the cost of this. Not only do you have to almost die, but there's some kind of cost where you're kind of missing something of yourself. They kind of lose their fear. They feel like they lose their moral compass, but who knows? I don't necessarily feel like that, but I feel like there's another word for what exactly happens to them. I found it interesting too that Sydney didn't seem to quite have that missing thing. Serena felt like Sydney did, but Sydney as a character didn't seem to have that until the very end when she did lose her sister, who the death she's blaming on Eli. So I'm interested to see how she'll develop as a character, but I really liked all their little found family, which developed fairly quickly, but you still feel so connected to them. When Serena told her go somewhere safe, and she goes to Victor because he's safe. Oh my gosh. Also, with being instantly connected to the characters, with the use of flashbacks, I still found myself constantly stressed out, even in the flashback scenes. So especially when Victor and Eli are trying to kill themselves and become EOs, those scenes were horrible, even though I know that they end up fine. In the end, I'm still oh my god, I'm so anxious and nervous and worried for you, but I know that you guys end up being EOs in the end, but I still was very attached and wondering what was gonna happen. I thought that Angie would get brought up again, or that they would maybe at least mention her as far as can Sydney bring her back or whatever, testing that length of time. So I'm actually surprised that Angie doesn't get mentioned at all after she dies. I thought for sure she'd at least be mentioned where Victor was can you bring Angie back? And Sydney would have to be no, my powers can't go back that far or something. So I'm a little we're just gonna forget about Angie. It's the only thing. I wasn't mad about it, but I thought that was gonna come up and then it didn't. As much as I loved Victor for being his sociopathic, morally gray, not even morally gray, villainous self, I hate Eli. I hate him. The fact that he became a religious zealot, oh man, they're just these characters that you can feel would be real. This would happen. And anytime you have a character that's gunning people down and doing horrible things in the name of God, I'm instantly gonna hate them. So that was really interesting. But what I liked about him, and when you start to follow him more, is that's when Serena comes in the picture. And what I appreciated is after Serena died, and one of the characters was all this just for a girl, and Victor was have some respect, that woman is the most powerful woman in this city. So that was really cool because it's like she had power over Eli, their whole dynamic where she's like, you're not gonna kill me today. Love her. And I love how clever Victor was to take all these moving pieces, all these people's abilities, and use them against Eli, kind of twisting Eli against himself. Eli set himself up as this hero, and Serena helped him to do that. And then at the end, when Eli kills Victor, and Victor, like, lets it happen, even though I still was like, what is going on? And then that's when you realize that with Serena gone, he is going to get taken in for all of these, like, murders because he's a serial killer at this point. And then, of course, you know, like, Sydney's gonna bring him back. But I am very, like, nervous now, so I know that this was kind of written as a standalone with the potential to be a series, and now it is a series. Vengeful just came out. I'm wondering with Serena bringing him back, because she brought back that other guy, and his powers weren't quite working right. So I wonder what's gonna happen with Victor and his powers since he got brought back by Sydney, and like what's gonna happen now. So I don't want to know if you've read Vengeful. Don't say anything to me in the comments. Like, my fear now is like, don't say anything to me, or like, just you wait, wink wink, or I didn't like it, or I did like it. I don't want to hear anything about Vengeful in the comments. I only want to hear about Vicious in the comments. But that's one of the things that I'm thinking about before I read Vengeful. I think I'll read Vengeful in November. I want to kind of take a break. I'm going to be reading Witch books in October. So I want to just do that. Maybe read Vengeful at the end of October, but probably November. So look forward to that if you're interested in my thoughts. But yeah, I loved this. It was such a good time. I love the characters. I find them so compelling, and that's why I'm slightly nervous as well, because like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I don't tend to like V.E. Schwab's more recent books. So I'm nervous if the characters are going to kind of change because it's been so long since she's written them, and I'm just nervous. So yeah. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts on Vicious, just Vicious. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all you guys soon.